Yeah, welcome. I'm so glad that you came online today with me. I know last time that some of you, I guess the word is called bummed out because we had so many glitches, but now we've got it all straightened out, so we're not going to have any delays or anything. And I will be on once a month. My next date will be July 17th, so hopefully as we go through the months, I'm going to be able to get to all of your questions. Today, I really want to talk to you about my new book out, and I'll show it to you. It's not out yet, so you're getting a sneak preview. It's called The End of Days. And this is the reason why I wrote that is because my first line in the book is, "Aren't you tired of being afraid?" Is because I wanted to assure everybody, because we've gotten so many calls at the office, and when I'm doing my lectures around the country, that people are so afraid of 12/12. You know, that's the Aztec calendar. And I just keep telling people they ran out of ink. I do believe what our Lord said, that no man, or I guess woman, can tell the end of days. Although I do believe the world will sustain itself. I don't believe that we're going to be here after about 95 years. And people get very concerned about that. But it's not going to be some type of horrible monster coming out of the sea and eating you, or tearing your flesh off and throwing people down into a pit of hell. A loving God would not do that to anybody. You've got to realize that you have to think logically. We either have a loving God or we have a mean, hateful, nasty God. And we don't have a mean, hateful, nasty God. And the only reason we came down to this planet in the first place, because we did write our own chart, and I know none of us like to hear that because we like to blame somebody else. But we did it to glorify God, because I often have asked myself when I was younger, because you know I've been doing this for 55 years, is why in the hell, literally, did I pick some of the things I picked. But you see, the thing about it is the harder the life you pick, the more you are really magnifying your life for God. If you're just living a wimpy, lazy life, then you're not doing as much. But let me tell you this. The very fact that you had courage enough to come down to this hellhole, and this is really where hell is. So if you have someone ask you or tell you that you're going to go to hell, you have every right in saying to them, I'm already in it. Even Genesis, if you read Genesis and you look at it like I have as an English major, in allegory or metaphorically, the only way God says, that you have to learn, the tree of knowledge was actually a metaphor, is go down and, till the field and bear your children in sorrow. If it was paradise and you just stayed on the other side and had a wonderful time, what do you learn? How does your soul expand? My favorite prayer is, my soul doth magnify the Lord. What will happen is, at the end of days, and I'm convinced that our Lord is not going to come back. I'm sure that everybody will probably see Him. But I think what will happen is we'll just sort of be whisked away. The world will sustain itself. But you see, we've destroyed so much of the world. But you can't be too concerned about that, because you've got to realize this is the fake place. This is a papier-mâché world. I think Plato said it better than anyone. We're nothing more than the shadows on the wall of a cave. The real world on the other side, my guide says, and I have a lot of validation statistically, I should say, to validate this, from astral projection to a death and dying, to also thousands upon thousands of regressions that I've done, that people all have seen the same thing. That you go through the tunnel, that you go to the hall of wisdom, you check through your life, Then you go to the Hall of Justice and you figure out whether you're going to live another life or not. Now here's what's interesting. I have found that most people, in the last 20 years I've noticed, don't want to come back. And they're not going to come back. And I think that's what also explains, if you've even seen me on Montel's show or some of the other shows, how many women get up and say they're having fertility problems. And I am convinced the reason for that is because souls just don't want to come in. There's just too much horrible things going on. Now, you can look back in history with me, and you could say, okay, there was a period of the Black Plague, or there was the 100-Year War. Okay. But now we have everything. That's why I'm saying to you, if you even came down here and you don't do anything else, you are the bravest of brave, and you should pat yourself on the back, because we have pedophiles, we have pandemics, we have robberies, we have drive-by shootings, we have arson, we have floods, we have earthquakes now, we have volcanoes who have never erupted for hundreds of years are now erupting. We have the greenhouse effect. It's the world's way of saying, you screwed around with me too much and now I'm going to get you back. But you've got to realize that everything on the other side is perfect. I mean, it's an exact replica. See that? See, we've got everything, like my grandmother said, bass backwards. This is the fake world. That's the real world. And even my guide said some of the beautiful 8 wonders of the world, the Babylonian Hanging Gardens, the Cheops pyramids, all the beautiful things are still there. The Colossus at Rhodes. So a lot of man-made things are still over there. Because like she said, because when I asked her, when I wrote the book Temples that I was talking to you about last time, I said, why is everything over there Romanesque? She said, well, look at your ancient cultures. She said, everything that is made here was first over there and then man brought it in. So even the salt vaccine, they found a person who had a channel directly to what they were supposed to do, probably to the research centers or the research temple, and brought it in. So don't be concerned about in 90 some odd years you can get a couple of generations in. People say, what's going to happen to my grandkids? No, see, we'll all go home. Now, I love what St. Francis of Assisi said when he was playing billiards at one time. Someone came up and asked him, they said, Francis, what would you do if the world was going to end in 5 days? And the other one said, no, how about 5 minutes? He said, well, I hope I'd get to finish my game. And I think that's the way we should feel. Like I've always said, I think the only problem would be is that the tunnel would be crowded, and knowing me, I'd be saying, would you please move? So I don't care if you live to be 115 years old. That's not like eternity. See, you're only here for a short time, even if it is 115 years, because if God always was, so were all of we, and that's the hardest thing for us to understand. Because you see, our time in this life runs lateral. We always think, now if I said to you, we always will be, you have no problem with that. But to think we always were, of course we were, whether we existed in the mind of God or separately. And I think this is a good time to put in, too, that dark-souled entities don't come over with us. No, thank God. They keep revolving back into life until the very end. And then eventually they're absorbed into God. They're absorbed, let's say, into the uncreated mass. So it shows you how wonderfully merciful, I guess I want to say, that God is, and compassionate and loving. I've talked to ministers and priests and all kinds of clergy, and I've said to them, I've always started out with, do you believe God is all loving? They say, oh yes. Is God omnipotent? Yes, yes, yes. Is God all knowing, all caring? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, well then how come God can be mean, hateful, nasty, and precocious? Or sarcastic even? No, can't be. And I realize that, you see, Moses was a great salesperson. I would never deny him that. Because, you see, he was in juxtaposition to all of the Egyptian gods. He was fighting all of those gods, Bas and Horus and Isis, and on and on. And so, of course, he had to make our God more ferocious than their God for people to believe it. So from that, they kept building on this vengeful God. And if you really research, you'll find out that Sheol, which hell came from, was nothing more than a dumpster outside of Jerusalem that never went out. So they figured, let's get Sheol, which turned into hell, and let's get somebody with horns and a tail, and then we'll scare the hell out of everybody, literally. No. The only person that can curse you or hurt you and please, well, I said the word please, every week we get somebody calling the office saying that they think somebody's cursed them, and they give away thousands and thousands of dollars. Please don't do that. Don't do that. No one can curse you. No. Like Montel always made the analogy of, do you think all the negativity that was harnessed towards Saddam, why didn't he have a more horrible life? Certainly we finally caught him. But no. And those people are not redeemable. But look at it this way. If you didn't have dark entities in your life, and these are the people that are totally narcissistic, these are the people that are always totally right, get rid of them. I don't care if they're in your own family. And that doesn't mean, kill them or something. Just be absent from them. No, so don't be worrying about the end of days, because honestly, it'll be they're always talking about the rapture. Well, the rapture will be when we get to the other side. And by the way, all your loved ones that are over there, it's not just what the church says are saints. Everyone that gets to heaven is a saint. And you think of all the billions and billions of people that have died. Sure, we have some spirits, or I should say ghosts. We'll talk about that next time. Ghosts in your house and what you can do about it, and what's the difference between a ghost and an angel and an imprint and a spirit. But no, people get so worried that their loved ones are caught in between. I'm telling you, 99 and 9/10% of people get to the other side. Of course they do, because they know how to get there. If you've been from here to Hawaii, you certainly know how to get there. Or you're in Hawaii, you know how to get to California. That's ridiculous. You've been in and out many times. And I always like to use a disclaimer. I always say to everyone in my lectures, take with you what you want and leave the rest. But with all the nightmares coming around about the end of times and the end of the world, the one thing I want to warn you against, because I just saw a terrible piece on 2020 the other night, be very careful of these occult groups starting to spring up who say, I am the only way, and you better listen to me, and you live in a compound, and I'm going to take your children and your property and your money, and you have to do what I say because I have God talking to me, and I am God. No, that's a cult. Run. You don't need anyone. Who am I to tell you who your God center is? All I can tell you is there are certain values that, control all of us. And then that is that we do good and we love God and we help our fellow man as much as we can, and then we shut up and go home. And that's how you become spiritual. You don't have to be kneeling, although that's fine if you want to pray, but you don't have to be praying and kneeling and chanting all the time. You know what that sounds like? That God doesn't know what you want. As if God doesn't know who you are. I talk to God every day, but it's more like a conversation. And of course, while we're on the subject of God, I really, really want, because so many people have asked me this, and I would really like to set the record straight. God is a real entity. God is not just a force. my guide, as well as so many of statistics of people, have said that they have seen God, but only for a brief moment. She said, too, because now Jesus they can see all the time. But she said God will take on a personage for a few seconds, but he's too strong to hold a form. But he is a real energy, and he is a real entity. He's not an old man with a beard, though. That's ridiculous. But he's not some mindless, floating sea of energy. The same as Mother God. And whether you believe it or not, there has to be a feminine principle to God. Because otherwise, what were we women made out of? If we are taught by most religions that we're made in the image and likeness of God, then who in the heck am I made after? So, and it's funny because when I was in Turkey and in Greece and Egypt and everywhere else, everybody believes in a Mother God principle. And if you look up Fatima, Lourdes, Guadalupe, every single time, so-called Mary, she doesn't care what you call her, although we call her Asna, she always says, I'm the Mother of God. And Bernadette called her the Lady, which is all right, she doesn't care. But I'll tell you one thing, if you want to look at it. God the Father is the intellect, and you know that we as human beings have an intellectual side and an emotional side of our brain. Now that's a biophysical fact. We have a linear side and emotional side, all right? Then God is the linear side. He is the one that holds us forever in the palm of his hands. Because of him we exist. We will always exist forever. There's never going to be a time where we will be obliterated. I think that's why so many people fear dying or fear the end of days. It's because they feel like they'll be annihilated. Energy, any scientist will tell you, it cannot be dispersed. It always will exist. And they have even found out in laboratories that before any excretion, when the body dies, thus the body loses 2 ounces. And they don't know where it goes. Well, I do. It's the energy. And here's an interesting thing, too. We're all 30 on the other side. We all are very solid. I think when I told Montel that we were ghosts in their world, I think he almost flipped out. I mean, he just, and then he began to realize that, yeah, that is true, because anything that's transient, moving, changing is transient. And it's not permanent. The other side is permanent. So we all go over, we have certain jobs, we can deal with animals, we can do gardening. I talked to a woman the other day when I was doing a lecture. This was in Reno, Nevada. Huge lecture. And she wanted to know what her father was doing on the other side. And I said, he's fishing. And she said, oh, he loved to fish. But over on the other side, all the animals are over there. And I do have a book coming out in January. That's quite a ways away, called All Pets Go to Heaven. And the reason why I wrote that is because people were actually saying that animals didn't go to heaven. That's ridiculous. Everything God made goes to heaven. I also, a little early, but I have a book also coming out about the mystical traveler. And for all of you that have been waiting so long for me to give you readings, I want you to know that my son, Christopher, is really picking up the slack for me, because he's been doing many more readings, so you can get into Christopher right away. And Christopher has been doing readings now for almost 24 years. And you should see the emails that come in complimenting me and commending him on how great he is as a reader. You can find out everything about me if you go to www.sylvia.org. And I also have a wonderful cruise coming up right on my birthday, the 19th of October to the 27th. And we always have such a great time. Next year we're going to have 4, so that's going to even be more fun. See, the thing about me being on a ship with you is that I'm captive. I mean, I don't mind that. I'm not saying that. But I see you at dinners, and I see you in the hallways, and I see you at my lectures, because usually during that time I'm giving 4 or 5 seminars, like workshops actually. So I'm always available. It's not one of those things where, oh God, I can never see her, I can never get to her, I can never find her. It's not like that. But, like I said, I'm going to be many, many places, and I'm going to be at the Taj Mahal in August, and you can also find that out. This really is going to be my farewell lecture tour, and that's why we started this webcast, because I didn't want you to feel like that I would never be around again. I will give certain big events, you know what I mean? I still will be out in the public, but to tell you the truth, schlepping through those airports and doing 40, 50 lectures a year is too much for anyone. I don't think it has anything to do with age. It just has to do with the fact that it's exhausting. And especially when they were kind enough to come up with this idea, I thought, oh my God, I can answer their questions, and I can talk to them, and I can find out what they really need to hear. And while we're talking about that, I'd like to do a few questions, because I'll do some more later, but I'd like to do a few questions now, just so that you know that I am going to do questions. This is from Beverly. She said, Sylvia, your writing and spirituality means so very much to me. I've started an internet business selling natural health care products. There is so much to learn. Will I be successful at this? Oh, Beverly, when I started out, everything inundated me, but also get into beauty products, organic too, along with all the other, wonderful things that are out there, the products that are natural, because that really helps. But I also have to make a codicil here and say, don't neglect your doctors, because if somebody has a hot gallbladder, you're certainly not going to give them grape seed extract. That's just goofy. Okay. It says, Sylvia, this is from Ellen, by the way. Thank you for your advice and counsel. I find it extremely comforting. Will you please tell me about my son, Michael? Will he find his way? Ellen, Michael is so stubborn. The one thing I do want you to do, though, is I want you to just back off a little bit. Michael will find his way in a technical career, and then he'll get into property. But I'm telling you, the more you come at him, the more he's going to back up on you, because that's how stubborn he is. But it's going to take him about 1.5 years. And you said, what can I do to help him? Stay away. Be quiet. Okay. Margaret says, Sylvia, I just want to know if my father is helping to comfort my mother from the other side, and if he is with my brother and niece. Thank you very much, Margaret. Yeah, your father is trying to comfort your mother, and ask her about her dreams. And people say, oh, I don't. Yes, you do dream about him. But what you've got to do is ask God to help you remember your dreams. I remember when my father was dying, he said, Sylvia, I can be more help to you now that I'm on the other side than I can in life. And whenever I hear the song, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, I know Daddy's around. And it always seems to be at a time when I need it. And yes, your brother and niece are together. The brother looks like he has an oval face and sort of wavy hair. And the niece has a heart-shaped face like me. Beautiful eyes. And yeah, they come in twos. There's also 2 older people with them too, but we won't get into all that because you're surrounded by an awful lot of people. Let's take just the next one. Hi, Sylvia. I miss my dad so much. So do I. And wonder sometimes if he is happy, doing wonderful things on the other side. If I could hear about him, I would be so happy. Just anything. But what he does, Ruth Mary, is he sends birds around you. And I don't want to say that's a stupid question, but think about it. No one is unhappy on the other side. If they were unhappy, Ruth Mary, it wouldn't be heaven, would it? It would be like here. Everybody would be walking around, wringing their hands, all ticked off about everything. Of course he's happy. He's doing a lot of artistic work, and he's doing lecturing. So I guess he's doing what he wants to do. Anyway, he says he's happy. I lost my dad 13 years ago. In fact, I think I told you. I lost 9 people in 3 months, and it's really tough. I don't care how spiritual you are, because, you see, grief is selfish. We want them with us. We know they're happy, but we're stuck here. So, but look at it this way. We'll all be together someday. That's the greatest news. Let me take one more before we go on. Can you please tell me what my life theme is? Thank you and appreciate all that you do. Your life theme, Tamara, is you're an activator and a caretaker. Now, an activator means you like things done, and you also like to take care of everybody. And that's really, really a good thing. But it's also a hard thing. See, like mine is humanitarian, which is kind of the sister of yours. And we have to be careful sometimes. In other words, it's okay to say no once in a while. That's another thing I want to get into about this life. People always say, when do you take time for yourself? When do you rest? We never took this life to be a slug. No. We can rest when we go over the other side. We're supposed to be active in doing things. I don't mean I don't love to sit down and read a good book or take a walk or play with my 7 dogs. But no. Illness comes when you sit and obsess. Illness comes, and we're going to talk about that in one of my other lectures for you. We're going to talk about health and what to do about it. Is being around people who make you sick. Yes, that's what causes. I mean, we have flu and germs, but let me tell you something. People can make you sick. And when you get up every morning, the best thing you can do to protect yourself is surround yourself with the white light of the Holy Spirit. Also, think of mirrors around you. Just think of them. And they're all reflected out. Now, you know what's so good about this is that when people come up that are negative and they reflect themselves, they will go away. It's kind of like the old Dracula theory. You know, they can't stand to see themselves. If good comes up and reflects itself, it stays. So if you have the white light of the Holy Spirit around you, people say, oh, I can't see it. Well, you know what a light looks like, don't you? And you know what white looks like, don't you? Then put it around you. You know what mirrors look like, don't you? Then put it around you. And have them face outward. And you'd be surprised how you fly through the day. That's what I do every morning when I brush my teeth. And then I say, Dear God, this day is for you. Help keep my channel clear. Let me be as truthful and positive as I can be with everyone. And of course, no one is 100%. That would be scary. No, but you better be more right than wrong. And of course, I've always said, you know how much I love you, because I've given my life for that. And that's not as a martyr. It's because it's my joy to love you. Okay, let's get to the next question. Sylvia, can you tell me what happened to my father's rosary that my mom gave me to keep after his death? It was always been a mystery, since I was sure I put it in my suitcase. You thought you put it in your suitcase, honey, and it dropped out, so it's lost. And I know that makes you feel bad, because I had a ring that my grandmother had that I lost. But then, you know, I start thinking, I have so many memories of her that no one can take away from me. And I know it has a sentimental value, but no, you lost it, honey, so there's no way to recoup it. You know, I think, you know, it's sort of like you think you put something in your purse, you know, and maybe it drops on the outside, but you're sure you put it on the inside. So then you just walked away and left it. Okay? No, but have faith in the fact that, you know, if you're sick out there, then you can always ask for healing. And what I always do when I feel kind of down is especially call on the archangels to help you. And especially you can call our hotline. It's our crisis line. We just had a situation 3 weeks ago in which a woman called about her husband. And he was in stage 4 cancer. She put him on our prayer line. Now, our prayer line rolls over to hundreds and hundreds of people. It comes in and then it goes out to our study groups, goes out to the other ministers, the other churches, and then about 9 o'clock at night everybody's praying. Well, 3 weeks later she called and she said the doctors couldn't believe it because he didn't have one bit of cancer in his body. And we get those validations all the time, so don't tell me that prayer doesn't work. And especially, even if you don't believe me, try it. What does it do, or what harm does it do? To ask Mother God to help you. I pray to her all the time for everything, and she really comes through. Here is something, and it's certainly not to challenge her, but I always say to people, ask Mother God to give you a flower from somewhere in 10 days from today. Just ask. And I've had that, and I've done it. And I've had a little kid come up to me and say, and hand me a flower, or I find a flower, or a person in the audience will say, I don't know why I was meant to give you this, but here's a flower. Yeah. And see if your prayers aren't answered. I always talk to Father God, but if I want something done ASAP, I talk to Mother God, because she's the one that seems to have the power. She always, her symbol is a sword. And it's not to hurt you, it's a golden sword to cut through negativity. Her color is gold anyway. So she always carries a sword. And so many people have told me when they did past life regressions or even astral projection, they go to this beautiful rose garden and there's a statue of her standing there with her sword and her breastplate on. So she's truly a warrior. And that's what we should all be for God, as spiritual warriors. And I don't mean walking up and trying to convert people. I hate that. Or having people quote their own religion to you. Because it doesn't matter whether you're Mormon, Catholic, Hindu, Episcopalian, whatever. It doesn't matter what you call God or who you pray to, as long as it is a being, you're going to get there. I had a young boy run up to me in Egypt. And, you know, over in Egypt they call you Mem Sahib or Mama. And he said, Mama, does God mind if I call him Allah? I said, of course not. You know, you can call him Yahweh, Allah, Jehovah, El, or George. It doesn't matter. God answers everything. It's just a matter of, you know, knowing that God is there. And so many people have asked me, even through the email, Sylvia, what did you mean when you said that the veil is thinning? Well, more and more people are beginning to come around to the idea or the belief or the knowledge that there is another side, and they do have a spirit guide. And that's why we're seeing so many people. If any of you are out there, remember when I used to be on People Are Talking, AM, LA, and especially Montel for 17 years, early on people never talked about dead people. They never talked about ghosts, no. And now, what do you see? And look at television. You know, we have The Medium, we have the Ghost Whisperer. We have all kinds of shows that never were allowed on before because people's consciousness is rising. And that's why people are so able to catch the orbs on their film, which are nothing more than angels. Or they're able to see more. You see, belief makes it stronger. Because before it used to be like the Berlin Wall. Nobody could get over it. But the more you believe, the more you chip away at this negativity. And there's some people that don't believe in anything, which I think is very, very sad, because they're going to be very, very surprised when they go to the other side. And that's the only thing that makes me judge is people that judge. Because God doesn't care what sexuality, what color, what creed, what religion. No. Why would he? He made you. And God doesn't make junk. No. You say, well, all right, so if you say that, then why are there dark soul entities? That was from the beginning of time when people separated from God. Not just Lucifer, but people separated from God. And that's what created the dark entities. Because their ego was so great that they thought they were better than God. And so they came down, and they can come down as your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your husband, My own mother was a very dark entity. But let me tell you something. I actually thanked her before she died. You know why I thanked her? Because she, being the way she was, made me a better mother. I would love to sit here and tell you in all honesty that I would have been a good mother. But I think I became a better mother because I was really bouncing off of her. Do you see what I'm saying? So she was sort of the antithesis of everything I didn't want to be. So you can really learn from these people. And that's what's so wonderful about it. Because you say, oh my God, there but for the grace of God go I. Not that a white entity ever becomes a dark entity. And I doubt if any dark entity is watching this, webcast. No, And if they do, they would just be scandalously cynical about it. Or like they have, or the skeptics, like Randy and his bunch. They get very irate about it because they don't believe in God or anything. And I say it's okay if they want to believe the way they want to believe, then let us believe the way we want to believe. Okay, let's get to another question. Does time have any meaning in the afterlife? Or do you come to know all of the questions that you have and never got an answer? Oh no, time has no meaning in the afterlife. That's why people say, oh my God, doesn't my family miss me? Of course not, because there's no time. See, to them, even if you live 40 years longer than them, it's like 2 days. So no, they don't miss you, no. And they're not mad at you. No one has ever come back to me and said, I am really ticked off about the way the funeral they gave me, or the fact that I didn't make it there on time. No one has ever done that. And I think there is only one question that can be silly, and that is, are they happy? Everybody on the other side is happy. Linda says, does my future during this lifetime include entering into a close relationship with a man? Or perhaps even marriage? Yes, Linda, in 3 years. And his name is Cameron, in 3 years from today. Okay? You will have a relationship with him, and even marriage. Yeah. Pamela says, thank you, Sylvia. I'd like to know when my son will find the girl of his dreams. In about a year and, well, it's actually about a year and 9 months. She's got blonde hair, blue eyes, and her first initial is A. I want to say Alicia, but I think it's Alice. But anyway, about a year and 9 months. Okay. That was from Pamela. Sherry says, I want to help as many people as I can while you're on Earth. Will hypnotherapy be my only source of income to support all of my children and live a more than a comfortable life? And will I have a long waiting list of clients? Yes, because you'll be good at it. Not only that, but you'll get into healing. Because you know that hypnotherapy is a healing tool, but you also can do the laying on of hands. And she said, thank you, and God bless you, Sylvia. And God bless you, Sherry. I'm going to read another one from Carol. She says, I'm going to see you live in Victoria, British Columbia. Of course, I am going all over, Canada. I'll be in Saskatoon and I don't know where all. And I'm so excited. Please tell me if I have any more to accomplish with my time here. Yes, you're going to take care of the elderly, Carol. You're going to watch out for the elderly. Because you are also a caretaker. We got a lot of caretakers that have written in, and humanitarians. Kim says, I recently lost my job due to downsizing. Should I continue to look for work in the field that I worked in, or should I be doing something else? No, Kim, and this might seem funny to you because the market is so lousy, but get into real estate. And do you see me being romantically involved with someone anytime soon? No, not for about 3.5 years, honey. But you've got so much on your plate to get yourself out, moving and all the other things that you're doing. So in about 3.5 years. His name is Josh. This comes from Sona. My mom and I would like to probably sell my parents' house. We would like to know what my father would think about this, since he built the house with my mom and also died there. Honey, they don't care. I don't know how many times I'm going to say this. I'll be screaming it to my grave. People on the other side don't care what you do with the house, what you do with the car, what you do with the ring. Can you imagine? They're in perfect bliss, happiness. What the hell are they going to do with the house? You can't FedEx it to them. No, they're happy. So sell the place and you'll get a good price for it. Ella, dear Sylvia, I did not get through on the Mother's Day event, so I would like to ask you now, what should my next worthwhile endeavor be so I can contribute the most to society and gain enlightenment in the process? Well, I would get into holistic work, and eventually you'll open up a spa. Holistic work is healing, nutrition, everything we do in my place in Campbell. You can walk in and get hypnotherapy, a healing, a reading, etc., etc. And, when I started, I hung out a shingle, and the first thing you know, 100 people showed up. It's kind of like the field of dreams, honestly. Ella, if you make a place, they'll come. Because the world is really changing that way. Look at all the spas that are coming out and all the holistic centers. We in the business have always gone green. That's not a big thing to us. Hi, Sylvia, you are awesome. I would like to know if my biological father is still alive. This is from Carol. No, he isn't, honey. She's from Louisiana. No, he's not. He's not alive. So I wouldn't look. I don't mean to be mean, but I'm kind of glad, because I don't think you would have found it to be a very happy reunion anyway. And you can talk to people around that will validate what I'm saying. Okay. Suzanne. Sylvia, my grandpa visits me while I sleep. Yeah, my family does too. Is it really him, or is it something else coming to me in a form that is comforting to me? No, Suzanne, it's him. See, they'll come in dreams a lot because, to show up at the end of your bed is kind of, scary to some people. Gail says, hi, Sylvia, my son is leaning towards pursuing pharmacy as his major at college. Do you see this as his career path? Not only do I see it, but I see him very successful at it, and starting his own pharmaceutical company even. Martha, what are my life lessons in this time around? Well, Martha, your first lesson was rejection, which is tough. But you've already gone through that. Your second part of your theme is justice. And that's because you want everything to be just perfect. You don't like any injustice. And God knows I can't fault you on that. It's just a hard theme, that's all. Because as you know, this life isn't just. Bobby. Hi, I'm Bobby from North Carolina. And I was wondering if there was anything my father wants me to know from the other side. Yes, that he didn't get a chance to say goodbye to you. And that he loves you very much, and he comes to see you about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. So that's very nice that he does that. So if you're waking up at 3:30 or 4 in the morning, you know darn well that it's because the atmosphere in the room has changed. Okay, Sharon says, is my grandfather with me, and does he have anything to say? Your grandfather comes about, I'd say at least in our time, once a month. And what he does is he has a lot of birds around. You'll see a lot of birds. And also what I've been seeing lately is they'll ride in the car with people. You'll feel somebody like in the back seat, keep looking in the rearview mirror. Not because you're going to have an accident. They just like to be with you. Sylvia, I was adopted from Korea, and I'm wondering if you can tell me about my biological parents. From Molly. Molly, I hate to tell you this, but neither one of your parents are alive. So I just quit looking because eventually you will be able to see them. I want you to know that I have to tell you again, my next webcast will be Thursday, July 17th. We will be on once a month. So try to get on as quick as you can so that, you'll have a place there. You won't be shut out, but, Hi, Sylvia. Our fire alarms in our house go off constantly at night while we are sleeping, usually early morning hours. It is not the batteries because they are hooked up through the electrical in my house. Could you tell who keeps setting them off? Lori in Loma. Lori, it's a little short, round woman, pretty face, pretty eyes, round eyes, and it looks like a grandmother. And she's setting off. They'll ring the phone, they'll set off alarms, and I'd say, stop it. Just cut it out. I got it. You can do something else besides, waking us up. Okay. Michelle says, I'm so thrilled to ask a question. Should I become a fitness trainer, an entertainer, or both? Look, you're a multitasker. You're an experiencer. Do both. And see, you said, and I didn't even read this, I've always been able to juggle more than one career. Yes, Michelle. Look at me. I do writings. I lecture. I travel. I do the webcast. Come on, can't we do all of it? Of course we can. You can. You have the energy to do it. The only thing I would say is try to eat more protein because your blood sugar's a little low. Jill, I'm about to be married. I want to know if this is a man that I should be marrying. My grandmother, who was a great psychic, used to say, if you have to ask, something's wrong. But I know where you're coming from, Jill. You just don't want to make a mistake. No, this is a good guy. He's a little bit temperamental, a little bit quiet at times, but, nobody's perfect. I'm not, you're not, but it's a good guy. Okay, this is from Kristen. Kristen from New York. My 4-year-old daughter came into my room and said she saw lights. Light blue and white. Those are angels. Oh, and then it says with wings. She followed them around the room for a while. I told her not to be afraid because the lights came from God. Exactly what were those lights? They're angels, dear. She even saw the wings. She's just very psychic, so I'd really start encouraging that. Connie says, hi, Sylvia. I would like to know what I should do with my life and if I'm fulfilling my chart. I somehow feel I'm not doing something. Also, my spirit guide's name. Your spirit guide's name, and maybe won't forget this, is Constance, because your name is Connie. And yes, you're fulfilling your chart, but I'd start to do some writing, because you really can write. Hi, my name is Joshua. I'm 10 years old, and I would like to know what is the name of my spirit guide. His name is Isaac. And what is my animal totem? Now, animal totem is an animal that protects you. It's a cobra. And what is my purpose here on earth? You're here to be, like mine, a humanitarian. And here we go with the caretaker again. We have one from Douglas. When we are on the other side, is our appearance always the same, or do we frequently change it just for the fun of it? Yes, we can change just for the fun of it. My guide said at one point, for many years, I took on an Asian look. But soul recognizes soul. Haven't you ever been to places where you meet somebody and you know immediately that you've known them, or you've always known them, and other people you go, ooh. Now, soul recognizes soul, trust me. Lorraine says, I would like to know what career path to take. What would I be good at, and when will I get this new job? I would like to see you get into medical. Anything that has to do with medical. Would this be something I enjoy doing for the rest of my life? Yes. And don't worry about, don't be dealing with commodities now. The money markets and the stock markets are too fragile. The economy's too fragile. And the name of your spirit guide is Leon, a male. Linda said, that was from Lorraine. Linda says, my dad who passed away in 2006 was such a nice man. I'm wondering what temples he likes to visit. Well, he's like me. He likes to visit the Research Temple, the Artistic Temple, and the Temple of God's Messengers. And he is doing lecturing. He used to always say, every day in every way, I'm getting better. Yeah, and that's such a great thing to say. I am so thankful he was in my life. Mine too. I'm so thankful that my father was in my life. Who has been in my house lately, says Ronnie, and what do they need? You mean as far as a ghost is concerned? There is an Abigail that's running around in there, but I tell her to go home because she doesn't belong there. Just say, go home, you're dead. It's not a relative. It's just a wandering ghost. Marie says, hi, Sylvia. My son and I really enjoyed your show in Edmonton on Mother's Day. I have a question on behalf of my son. He says whenever he looks at the clock, he most always sees the number 911 on it. Can you tell us what this means? Well, the number 9 is one of the highest spiritual numbers, and the number 11 means you're on track. When I look at the clock, most of the time, it's 7:11. So anytime you ever see the 11 hour, it means that you're on track because that's the highest number in numerology. Okay, this is a long one. Angelina, what is the life lesson of my husband, and will he accept the spirituality evolution of myself, my daughter, and my gifted friends? Yeah, he will in time, but don't push it down his throat. I don't like anything pushed down anybody's throat. Will he accept spirituality that he is afraid of? What he doesn't understand about spirits on the other side? Yes, but be low-key with it. Don't keep, badgering him with it. I sometimes question why we were put together in this lifetime. I love him tons and wouldn't have married him otherwise, but sometimes he is so stubborn. Angelina, he's just afraid. So let him be. Let him have his own fear and his own life. Like I said, let's not try to convert him, but he'll come to his own spirituality. But if you keep at him, he's just going to buck you. He'll just get back on his haunches and just deny. Janet, from Janet. Who is the 6-year-old little girl that I have around me? She was holding my grandmother's hand. My mom's mom, who has passed over, and my father, still here, has seen her once hovering over my mother, still here. We don't know of any 6-year-old little girl passing over. No, because it's a little spirit. And her name is Sally. So I just tell Sally to go on, because it's a little spirit that's caught in time, and she's just latched on to you, like a mother or grandmother. So say, Sally, go on to the other side. Hi, Sylvia. After reading your book, Temples on the Other Side, I was lying in bed and saw a very pretty blue eye. It was in a triangle and slightly turned, not facing me. I blinked a couple of times and left. Sylvia, what does this mean? Laura, haven't you ever seen on the dollar bill the pyramid with the eye? That means the spiritual opening of your own third eye, right here. That's all it was. It was a symbol of that. See, sometimes knowledge comes in symbolic form. Okay, let's get to Barbara. I was very close to my paternal grandfather all of my life, even after he and my grandmother divorced. I'd like to know if they worked everything out on the other side, and if they can see my 2 kids. Yeah, they do come hand in hand, and they see everything we do. Everything we do. So yeah, they see the kids, and I'd be very surprised if the kids don't see them, so I'd ask the kids. Because if you ever watched Animals and Kids stare over in the corner, it's because they see things we don't. Deborah, I received a proof set of coins in the mail in 1984. Who sent them? Somebody by the name of James sent them to you. Melinda, hello Sylvia. My husband has a good business idea, but we really don't have the money for it. I was wondering, do you see this business getting started and being successful? Not until the fall of next year, and then there'll be some kind of infusion in cash that you start from ground up and build it, and it becomes very successful. We're talking about 2009 fall, okay? Sue says, "Hi, Sylvia. I miss my father so much. Is he around me? And if so, is there something he does that I should look for to know he is near?" He makes electricity go off. He'll make lights blink and things go off. You know, and people are always changing bulbs and then they'll go out again. Leona, "Sylvia, will my career in doing mortgages go well into my retirement? I'm 64 years of age." Yes, Leona, because you've built up enough people around you that really do referrals. Even though this is kind of a hard time, it's strange you used to say that because my older son's in mortgages. Not Christopher, the psychic one that's doing all the readings. But he's having kind of a tough time now. But trust me, after election this spring, things get more back to normal. The economy now is just lousy, but we're going to see a real revamp in that. Okay, here we go with Jeannie. "Is it wrong of us to call back our loved ones who have crossed over if we love and appreciate them more now than when they were here? Do they know it?" They know everything, and it's not bad to call. I call my mother, not my mother, no, sorry. I call on my grandmother, I call on my father, I call on my best friend, I call on a doctor friend of mine, I call on all of them. I call on the angels, the guides. I say to God, get them all in here. You know, the more the merrier. Tamara, "Is my dad proud of what I'm doing with my life now?" Of course he is. Nobody over there is not proud of you. Not only that, but you've got to realize they see your chart, so they know what you're doing. "Dear Sylvia, my grandfather, whom I called Dadu, never believed there was life after death, but was nevertheless a very godly man during his life. Prior to his death at the age of 101, I asked him the question, when you get there on the other side and you find out the truth, will you let me know?" He nodded and said, "I will knock a picture off the wall." Well, just prior to finding out my grandfather died, lo and behold, a picture on the wall in my house fell off. And you mean to tell me you have to ask me whether that was true or not? Of course it was. You can't get any better proof than that. Pictures just don't fall off the wall. Yeah, and not only that, but he said he was very surprised because he spent his whole life thinking that when you're dead, you're dead. I love these people, and when they get over there, they go, wow. Melody, that was from Kira, by the way. Melody, "Dear Sylvia, this number 417 and 617 keep popping up repeatedly, especially the 417. Well, that becomes a 3. The second number is a date my dad crossed over. My birth date is 217. So 17 pops up a lot for me. Well, that's an 8. You notice that the 3 is spiritual. You always have got to add these numbers together. You see what I'm saying? So 15 becomes a 6, and that's a double trinity. The 4 and the 17 comes down to a 3. Reduce it to a single denominator. And all these are spiritual numbers. 3 is a trinity. Double 3, 6, is a double trinity. Bill says, "Does my father ever visit me in dreams?" Yes, he has come in 4 times. Even more than that, but you don't remember him. So ask again that you start remembering him. And that was from Bill. Marjorie says, "What am I being prepared for in this life?" To take care of the elderly. Next weekend, the webcast is Thursday, July 17th. Come back to spiritnow.com, and I will be here to be with you. I promise you, and I will try to get to every question that I possibly can. And sometimes I've heard, when I'm at lectures, people say, "Oh my God, during her lecture, or what she was talking about, she really answered my question." Listen very carefully. This is the things you look for when you're looking for signs from people that have crossed over. Look for coins that drop, birds and animals that come around, what your children begin to see, electricity that does funny things, smells or scents. See, nobody smokes in my house, and I'll walk through and I will smell cherry blend tobacco, which is what my father smoked in a pipe. And they'll even smell it at work because my dad worked with me till he died. So notice, people are constantly, and they will ride with you in cars, they will come to you in dreams. And they're not giving you any big messages. It's just that I love you and I'm with you and I'm protecting you. People always say, they're trying to tell me that money's buried in the backyard. I've only found that in 54 years twice. That's not a good average. All right. Joanne says, can you tell me which direction to follow, teaching or painting? Go into painting, for God's sake, Joanne, because you also paint very metaphysically, too. This is from James. Dear Sylvia, I've enjoyed watching you for years and have read some of your books. I want to know if there's a message for my father for me. Yes, he says that you worry too much, James. Jimmy R., rather. And that, yes, he does watch you, and he also comes to see you about 12 at midnight. Okay, Cynthia. Hi, Sylvia. I love what you are doing with Spirit Now. Good. Well, then tell your friends. My question is, who is my spirit guide and animal totem? Your animal totem is a buffalo. Mine's an elephant, so. And your spirit guide's name is Valerie. Roberta says, I am torn about my job path. I spent 22 years teaching and the last 10 at a different job that has been fulfilling but lost some of its luster. Do you see me making a change? Yes, but Roberta, don't do it right now. The economy is too rotten. It'll gain its luster back. I don't think the job has lost its luster. I think you're just burned out yourself. I think you've just lost luster. But you'll come back to flame again. You really will. But your diet is so terrible. Would you really please try to get yourself on green leafy vegetables and more protein without all the sweets and the starches? Amanda says, when I was young, I used to hear voices in my home and had other strange things happen. Do you know who it was that was contacting me? Well, you really were hearing the other side, but you also were hearing your spirit guide by the name of Gerard that's still with you. Okay, I'm going to try to get as many in as I can. B, what is the role of saints in our lives? Do they have more say than our spirit guides? That's what I was telling you earlier. Everybody that goes to heaven is a saint. So you can have St. Barbara, St. Joseph. My father's name was Bill, St. Bill, St. Ada. Everybody, not just what the church says are saints. Everyone on the other side is a saint. Yeah, I think St. Anthony is fine to ask for lost causes. Or like St. Jude, certainly, because so much energy has been put into them. Hi, Sylvia. I loved your Mother's Day webcast. I'm a teacher and I need to supplement my income. I'm thinking about getting an accounting certification. Yes, you should, because you can do it on your own. Would this be a good choice? My other consideration is to open a family thrift store. No. No, do the accounting. And you would earn your money. Don't forget that I will see you next time on July 17th on spiritnow.com. It's on a weeknight, so I hope you can all make it. I don't know if we have time for one more. Mary says, Sylvia, I would like to know who I was in my past lives and how many I've had. You've had 47, and you were a pioneering woman in your last life. You also, and I'm finding this so much anymore, I don't know why, American Indian. And don't forget about my book, The End of Days. And don't forget about Chris, who does so many good readings because I'm gone so much. God love you, God bless you, and God keep you. And I'll see you next time.